Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful conversation, allow us to grow closer as freedom-loving Americans, and set aside our differences for the good of our country. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the hearts and minds of others. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I'd also like, before we move on, to ask for a special prayer request. The preliminary examination for 5 of the 16 electors is this week. And specifically, it's tomorrow and Wednesday. And Michonne Maddock is one of those 5. So we ask that the Lord will surround them with his protection and give them moral courage to get through this, but also ask for a miracle that the Lord will open the eyes of these people that are accusing them to see the truth. Amen.
Real curious, I'm just kind of curious, I'm going to take a poll. Who was rooting for San Francisco 49ers yesterday? Okay. Now, for those of you that were rooting, how many were rooting because Taylor Swift drives you crazy? I'm just kind of curious. Okay. That's where I am. That's exactly. So you guys are my friends. All right. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Annette LeBaron. I work in human resources. I don't like teaching DEI, and I haven't yet. I refuse so far. But anyways, I work in human resources, so one of the patriots in that function. For fun, what I like to do is I'm a volunteer for AMAC, which is the Association of Mature American Citizens. I also sit on the zoning board for the city where I live, and I sit on the board for the Bloomfield Republican Women's Club as well. So I keep busy. I drive my husband crazy. The last time I was here and I asked if anybody knew about AMAC, about 15% of the people raised their hand, and I was really happy with that. So I'm hoping if I ever get an opportunity to speak in front of you again and I ask that question, everyone's going to say, yes, we've heard of AMAC. So I wanted just to give you a little bit of information about the company or the organization that I support. So first of all, AMAC is the Association of Mature American Citizens. So anyways, so I am a mature American citizen. So anyways, this side, AMAC is made up of three parts. One is AMAC on the left, and this is your membership organization. So this is where you get medical insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, all these wonderful things, right? And it's only $16. Not a lot of money. And I can guarantee if you leverage this the right way, you'll make this over and over again. I saved $600 on my car insurance. So I'm not kidding you. So this is really good. The next is the AMAC Foundation. And this really deals with Social Security advisory services. So there's a number on this board here, right there, if you want to write it down, or come see me afterwards if you want. Anybody can call at any time, and it's free to everybody. So if you have a question about Social Security, they have like 7 or 8 specialists, and sometimes I heard that the government even calls them to get some clarification on some things. Wonderful service, okay? So Social Security right there. And then the last one on the far right is what I do. I am an advocate. I help with legislation. I hold chapter meetings, calls to action. And just recently, AMAC supported Senator Jim Renstad in a bill that he wrote. And so AMAC wrote a letter of support. So they just don't do things at the national level. They can help at the local level too. So wonderful, wonderful organization. So please, next time I ask, have you heard of AMAC? We're going to see all the hands go up, right? And there's some information on the tables if you're interested. Okay, with that, so I do want to give you a little update on the Trump electors. As mentioned, 5 of the electors, of whom Michonne Maddock is one, will continue their pre-exams on February 13th and 14th. And the 9 others, which Marion is a part of, is rescheduled for April 11th. So that one's a little later. So if you're interested, you can tune in and watch by going to Judge Christian Simmons' courtroom. So on the 13th and 14th at 8:30 a.m., tune into Judge Christian's courtroom. And let's continue to pray for them and support them in any way that we can. All right, with that, we're going to start with our first speaker. This is from Turning Point USA, is a faith mission to serve the American church by resourcing Christians across the nation to stand for liberty and the kingdom. Holly Adams from Turning Point USA Faith is joining us to provide an overview of their strategic outreach to churches to help and encourage members to vote. So please welcome Holly Adams.
My name's Holly Adams. I'm with TPUSA Faith. So we are the political organization that Charlie Kirk founded in 2021.
Oh, Holly, hold it up a little bit.
Oh,
Really
we are
pick up. There you go.
there we go. Thank you. So TPUSA Faith is the political 501c3 organization that Charlie Kirk founded in 2021. So we are one of the good things that came out of COVID. Basically, about 6 months into the COVID and the lockdowns, some pastors came to him, his own pastor, and said, Charlie, we need you to drive a movement in the church and the faith community the way you have with the younger adults. And Charlie's first reply was, no, that's not what God called me to do. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm working on the younger generations and teaching conservatism. And he said, well, you've got a handful of pastors in your room. Maybe that's a calling. He's sending us to call on you. So Charlie prayed on it and decided that he did need to get involved in the church because Charlie accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior when he was in 5th grade. And he understands that not only do we need to educate people on the conservative principles, but we know where liberty came from and we know what our country was founded on, and so that we need the church to be engaged in our civics again, where they've been absent for far too long because they've believed a lot of things like the separation of church and state. So what we do is, before we can even get to the members of the church, we have to get the pastors engaged and comfortable with accepting their responsibilities, that they are supposed to be in this space. So what I do and my colleagues across the nation do is we call on churches, we introduce ourselves to the pastors, we let them know what we're about, and that we have an abundance of free resources available to them as pastors and to their church members to help educate them on some of these issues, on addressing, say, maybe racial division in the United States, right? So, but from a biblical perspective, so they can counteract the lies that are being told in our culture. And a crazy story the other day, we were in Kansas City and we were promoting a pastor leadership event. So we'll host those around the country. And there was my manager and a colleague of mine, they're both African American, and they went to a church to talk to a pastor about our programs. And he was a white pastor, and he was so conflicted. He was in tears because he felt that because they were black, he, a pastor, needed to apologize to them. This is a pastor, yes. So again, our job is to help educate them. A lot of them have been indoctrinated by these untruths as well in our culture. A lot of them, I hear in the seminaries, are told we don't discuss politics. Okay, this has been going on for a long time. So we're here to remind them that, hey, yes, you do. And there are many pastors that are becoming stronger with their voices across the country. And we want them to be part of that network of pastors. So iron sharpens iron, courage besets courage. So we get them together in gatherings with other pastors like Eric Metaxas, who will speak, Bill Federer that will speak, educating them on the need and the originality of, in the early years of our country, how the pastors led the people to fight for our freedoms, okay, versus cowering in the corners. So I'll stay around the whole meeting. I'll be here after. Just think about if there are any people, pastors or churches that you're part of that you think would be great for me to reach out to. I will reach out to them immediately this week. Because again, there are churches, I'm not going to get events a pastor that's flying the LBGT flag or, Black Lives Matter, anything like that. I can't I'm not gonna be able to convince them. But there are a lot of churches that are more open, they're just a little bit scared. And we can go in and present them with information. Teresa that invited me tonight, she was so kind to print off some materials that we have available for them on our website. Everything's free, the resources. What is legal and illegal, given the IRS restrictions on 501c3s and the history of the church and state, and what it really means versus what it doesn't mean. There's an abundance of resources available for anybody of faith. So I don't know if any of you in this room have anybody taken a biblical citizenship class through Patriot Academy or any of the other organizations. They're wonderful, and it is a great start. It is basically like, this is your job as a Christian to stand for biblical truth, and this is what the Constitution gives you and why you need to stand for it, because if we don't now, we won't have our religious freedoms in the future. So if any of you, it can be associated with your church or just a group on your own, want to take that and lead a group out of your home or out of a space like this, we will help you sign up. We will help you promote if you want to promote it outwardly to people. We'll provide the workbooks. The workbooks are normally $20 a piece. We'll provide those for free. We'll send some pizza or donuts the first night and the last night to kind of congratulate everybody from coming and congratulate them for completing the course. But it's amazing. And it's a lot of the churches, if they will start with anything, they'll start with that. Because again, we're a 501c3. So we're different from my colleague Luke that's going to start that is 501c4. So we can, anything biblical, we'll discuss it. We have materials to support it. What we don't do is get involved with like the political parties or on issues or on candidates. That's where you would work with Luke on that. So Teresa, I like what her analogy she used. She says, we're kind of the organization you want to date or have the pastors date. I know that sounds weird, but the church to learn more about why they need to get engaged and what they can do and the resources available. And then when those pastors are bold enough that they really want to get involved and take action and get engaged civically, then Luke can help with all of that. So we kind of work together. But I will have my cards available. The best place to go to find out more about what we do and the resources available is just to go to our website. It's on my card. It's TP Faith, so T for turning, P for point, faith.com. And I have plenty of cards that everybody can grab one. And then certainly it might be hustle and bustle at the end tonight and people might need to get out after the meeting. So feel free to reach out to me, phone call or text or email if we don't get a chance to connect one-on-one tonight, because I'd love to talk to you. You know your community and your churches a lot better than I do. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll save those for later, and I think my time is up.
So our second speaker for tonight is Lana Kristal, and she has been a precinct delegate for 12 years. I tried, I couldn't. Was president of the Women's Republican Federation and is presently on the OCRP's executive committee. She has overcome many of life's challenges, which she shares in her first book, Conquering the Wilderness, Trusted Tools for Tough Times. We are proud to have a published author as one of our own grassroots fighters, and we want to give her a couple of minutes to present her book, which will bring hope and encouragement, which we all could use these days. So please welcome Lana Kristal.
Well, we've gone from the old lady to the young lady to the one who's going to be a first-time grandmother in August. I have an only child, a son, so it's pretty exciting. So I have my little notes here, not because I don't know what to say about my book, but there's 206 pages in here and I have 5 minutes. So I've got my little notes here to keep me on track. As mentioned, the title of my book is Conquering the Wilderness, Trusted Tools for Tough Times. So when we speak about the wilderness, I'm not talking in here about some little couple-day hike or an hour hike through the woods and the forest, okay? I'm talking in here about those gut-wrenching, emotionally, physical, spiritual, intellectual, emotional, those times we go through that are really challenging and difficult. Okay, who's experienced a major loss? Who's had a major illness? Who's had financial challenges? I mean, especially with the economy, the way it is. I just heard that credit card debt is higher than ever in the history of the United States, for example. Well, I've been through those things too. I've been through a divorce. I've been through the loss of a baby. My second husband took his own life. And I've been through some, just debilitating illnesses. And how did I get through that? I'm not complaining, praise God, here I am. I'm not complaining, but I wrote this book to give, as the title says, trusted tools. In this book are hands-on tools and techniques where to give you those things that we all need to get through those tough times. And I'm looking around the room here. And this book, I geared it toward my son's age and kind of toward his generation. So this is a book you might want to think about purchasing for your children or for your grandchildren. Although I have had people that are in their late 60s who have said to me, I got to the second chapter and I got some healing in my life. And so that's really what this is about. I talk about everything in here from identity to loss to, yes, dryer sheets and allergies, and most of all about eternity. So it's kind of a fire hose. There's a lot. Somebody said that there's a lot in here. So I didn't write this book because you don't write a book like this for money or for fame. You write it because you love people. And this is a book about helping us love ourselves, helping us love one another. A major part of the book is about communication and what that looks like. Communicating like we are at our tables tonight, enjoying each other's company, or communicating with the thoughts that we're having in our own heads all day long, right? So people have asked, is this a religious book? And I look at religion as laws and rules and regulations. This is not that. It is a spiritual book, though. And so I encourage you to take a look at it. I'll be back there in my temporary office over here in the corner. And I just want to share with you, the book is $15, by the way. I take Venmo, cash, and whatever else you want to get. And I want to say this too from my heart. If for some reason $15 is just not doable, let's make a deal. So with that, I want to tell one story. Is Jeanette still here? Oh, there she is. Jeanette, would you come up 1 minute? Do I have 1 more minute?
Yes.
Okay. So Jeanette read the book, and there's nothing like a personal testimony because I wrote this book, and when I did, I said, if it helps one person, then it's been successful for me. It's been successful for him, and it's been successful for me. So Jeanette, would you share? Jeanette came up to me at a meeting last week, and she came running up, and she said,
I loved her book. The biggest thing that I took away is I have a lot of issues with my family. My children don't talk to me. And I had a lot of hurt when my daughter uninvited me from her wedding. And I've been working on trying to forgive her. And so Lana's book talks a lot about forgiveness. And the one thing that really helped me was that forgiveness, forgiving that person for whatever happened, doesn't mean what they did was okay. And that to me was really helpful, and I loved it.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeanette. And in closing, I just want to say this, that about 2 weeks ago, I had my credit card stolen. And then my heart went into palpitations, and I had to go make an emergency visit to the cardiologist. And that was before the furnace went out, the day before the furnace went out. It was 7 degrees outside, which was followed by a virus and then followed by an infection. And so I had to pick up my own book and read my own book. So, and it gives you those tools to get through the difficult and challenging times. And so if you purchase it, I hope it blesses you. Thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you, Anna. That's amazing. And Jeanette, thank you for sharing your story too. I mean, It's amazing, sometimes a few words can just make you feel a little bit better. So our third speaker for tonight is from Turning Point Action. So I'm AMAC Action, there's Turning Point Action. So we have somebody here, Luke Malice, has become a force for the conservative movement, hosting rallies across the country on behalf of true pro-American candidates, such as the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Since its founding, Turning Point Action has emerged as our country's leading grassroots organization, giving individuals the opportunity and platform to run for office at the local level. Turning Point Action provides voters with critical information surrounding their district's candidates and elections, allowing them unparalleled access to some of the most significant figures in the movement. Luke Malice, Great Lakes Regional Manager at Turning Point Action, is here with us tonight to fill us in on the Turning Point Action, what the Turning Point Action is doing to help us win big this November. So, Luke.
Perfect. Thank you for that. That was very kind of you. All right, well, like she had mentioned, my name is Luke Malice, and I am the field manager for Turning Point Action. We are the 501c4 nonprofit for Charlie Kirk. Pretty much, as Holly had mentioned, we are the ones that can get involved in the political level. We go out there, pretty much our main mission in off-election season is my field reps. I have two in the state of Michigan under me. A lot of you are probably familiar with Riley Linting. She's the youth vice chair for the Michigan GOP. I hired her like 8 months ago, and she's been doing a great job. So she covers this territory, and then I have Miguel Pillar. He is on the west side of Michigan. So if any of you guys, if you're from the west side of Michigan, let me know, and I can get you connected to him. But I wanted to kind of go over kind of what our focus is for this next election cycle and a lot of the stuff that we're going to be, tackling. So with that, we see Michigan, obviously it's a battleground state. You look from a national perspective, a lot of people say, oh, Michigan's just like California, like it's, it's done, it's gone, it's lost forever. No, that's just not the case. So Michigan is one of our top tier battleground states for our organization. We're in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, which is my territory that I cover, and then Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, the big three that we really need to make sure that we get out to vote for. But Michigan is unique because we look at our elections, we actually have more registered Republicans than the Democrats do in the state of Michigan. It's just the fact of the matter is, it's a matter of getting the Republicans to actually show up and vote, right? I don't know, a lot of the times you look at, based off of our data that we purchased, we could see that just in like 15 key different counties in the state of Michigan, in the midterm, only 8% of registered Republicans that are in the faith community voted. That's crazy. Like, that's absolutely absurd. If we would have had 14% in those key areas just show up, just 14. Mind you, these people are already registered to vote. You're not trying to go in there and convince them, like, hey, it's your duty to vote. No, they've already registered. Like, they just don't show up. 14%, the proposals wouldn't have happened, okay? And on top of that, the state house and the state senate, we would have won. And then on top of that, if 16%, then the gubernatorial race more than likely would have been ours. So it's a matter of finding out how to get in there and get these individuals to vote. So with that, I've been on a mission for the past year, looking at, with some other, very influential people, trying to figure out how does the left do what they do, and how do they win. We know they cheat. There's no question about there's some cheating, but they stick together. And you look back starting back in the first Obama run, they took, not the Democrat Party, but they realized the potential of using nonprofits and having them do the heavy lifting. And so what they do is they take the nonprofits and they all work together with key different things that they specialize in. So in our instance, like for Turning Point Action, it's ballot chasing, right? And getting out the vote and doing Super Saturdays and everything. But you have other organizations that do phone banking. We have Nathan in the back there with GSI. We have Marion. And typically in the past, historically, Republicans, these orgs just kind of do their own thing. They go out there and, hope for the best at the end, not coordinating with each other and having everybody in lockstep and having the same strategy and same mission. Well, now been on a mission across the entire state to make sure that all these orgs are on the same page, helping like turn that light bulb on in their head, like, oh wow, like that's what the Democrats do, like why we should probably be doing that. Yeah, we absolutely should be. So that's what I've been focusing on doing, and I'm happy to say that everything, God has brought so many individuals into my life and our organization's life that are on the same mission. They all agree that they want to move forward together and actually work together and lift each other up. So it's exciting to see what we have in the works. With that, we're going to be targeting coalitions. So are a lot of you familiar with what coalitions are, right? So you look at I thought somebody was raising their hand. So coalitions, right? We have, specifically in Michigan, we have our main focus target ones are faith, obviously, like I just went over. Hunters is a huge one too. We had 350,000 in the midterm that are registered to vote that didn't vote. Well, these are the guys that are, going out there and I'm assuming would like their Second Amendment to be able to continue hunting. So these are, key areas that we need to target. We have another one, farmers and ranchers. And then our field reps got to choose one that's close to them and their heart. So like Riley, she's going to do the Moms Coalition, so building up Moms for Liberty and stuff. And then we have Miguel, he's Hispanic, so he's doing a Hispanic Coalition. And with that, we know that if we can get these voters to actually show up and not go out and vote because the Republican Party told them to, because it's actually because the things that they care about is why it's going to drive them out to the polls. And we see, because of the election laws changing in Michigan, we're able to actually go out and register these low propensity Republicans is what they're called, all these individuals that just don't show up, they're registered. We can actually help them become absentee voters. And in a perfect world, right, I would be a huge advocate, and I still am an advocate. I would love same day, hand counted paper ballots. That's a perfect world, right? That's what we should have, but we need to understand too, the left wants us to keep being stubborn and just keep saying, just keep arguing about it. Yes, there's a time and place for that, but also you have to be smart and realize, hey, this is the reality we're living in. We got to play the cards that we've been dealt, and if we go out there and we activate everybody to do this, we can win. It's just a matter of actually having the infrastructure to do so, which we have. And we've partnered with an organization, Michigan Family Forum. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with them, but pretty exciting stuff. We're going to have just Michigan specifically. We can go in and have a organization go into, let's say, a church, right? And the pastor, because we have a massive list of pastors from COVID till now that just got really fed up and have been like, hey, we need to do something. What can we do? Well, we can actually go in there with our volunteers, if somebody like myself or one of our faith leaders of part of Turning Point Coalition, go in and talk about that, and then we have an actual app where these individuals that are volunteers can go in, they can literally scan someone's ID. It's really awesome. They can scan someone's ID, it literally takes their information, auto-populates it onto the Secretary of State website. We can get this done in less than 30 to 60 seconds is what we've got it down to. So then they will be registered to get an absentee ballot. On the back end, then that organization or that group that got those sign-ups or those submissions, they get a notification, oh, John Doe received his mail-in ballot. Let's go ahead and call him and help him vote biblically. Maybe it's a hunter. We're plugged in. Michigan Family Forum, one of the founders of it, is very well plugged in with all the hunting community. And we're going to be in, Jay's Sporting Goods in Clare while everybody's going up north and stuff. They can stop, and we'll have people there ready to, get them to become absentee voters. And we're going to call them and stay on the phone with them until they get that son of a gun in the mailbox. Because if we do this correctly, the potential is there. So have hope in that. That's pretty exciting. And then with that as well, in the past, like the last midterm, we used Campaign Sidekick. Are a lot of you familiar with Campaign Sidekick? Like going out knocking doors and canvassing. Bit of a pain in the butt. Really hard to have everybody understand and learn to operate the thing, even though the data is not accurate and all that. So we said, never again. Not having that happen. We created our own app. It's the Turning Point Action app. Pretty cool. With that, inside that app, you can literally go out and you can canvass. So let's say you're hosting a Super Saturday or you're going out for your candidate. This is free to everybody. It's free to county GOPs, free to any org that wants to use this. They can go in, they can literally put their phone number in and then hit knock doors, help knock doors, and it'll auto-populate 15 of the closest voters around you. And it'll literally, with a green arrow, walk you up to the person's front door. And it'll literally, we can have edited scripts as to what you want to ask the individuals, questionnaires. and do that. So that's pretty exciting. Also, you can phone bank on the app as well. So if you want to host a phone banking event, you can go ahead and do that on there. And you can also do text blasts out to all the voters in your area, personalized text messages. So that's all exciting stuff that we got going on. And yeah, I can't just stress enough the importance of everybody just realizing that there is potential and teaming up with organizations that are doing this kind of stuff, and that's going to be how we win. So we need as many of you as possible to get involved with us. I'm going to have a bunch of these pamphlets, and I will figure out a spot maybe over on the back table. I'll leave them there, and then you guys can download the app. It has a QR code, or you can just look it up on the Android or Apple store, and you can just download it. And like I said, it's free to you guys. Monkey around with it, and stay tuned because we'll be orchestrating different rallies and stuff. Another thing I want to talk about, Turning Point Action, we have this thing called the Mount Vernon Project. It's a very cool thing that we did. A lot of you are familiar with Harmeet, Dylan? Yep. So last year's America Fest, we ended up having we had a straw poll at our conference for who we wanted to be the RNC chair. To go up against Lana, and we said that whoever wins it among the attendees, whoever they vote for, we're going to back them and we're going to endorse them. So with that, Harmeet overwhelmingly won, and it was pretty cool though, because since then we created this program where we're going out and we are recruiting true conservatives that have a proven track record of being conservatives to actually run for positions of leadership within the RNC and state GOP races for chair. And that's pretty cool to see. And with that, I wanted to mention we endorsed Dr. Rob Steele. Dr. Steele, I think, is right there in the back. So, yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you, if you're not familiar with, Dr. Steele and his background, he's been just a staunch, example for, holding true to conservative values over the course of, his entire, political career and prior to his political career. He also was one of the individuals that helped, promote Harmeet. A lot of stuff's floating around that, maybe he didn't support Harmeet and he was going out for Rana. That's just false because, I mean, I've heard it from Harmeet's lips that, Dr. Steele was a big supporter in trying to get her elected. So just want to let you guys know that. Some of his achievements, he's, and some of the stuff he's involved with the RNC. He was on the executive committee, was it right? 5 years, I believe. 5 years. All the committees that he's been on, it's kind of crazy. I had to write them down to remember them. He was on the Rules Committee, Grassroots Committee, Post-Election Analysis Committee, Conservative Steering Committee, and then the second Election Integrity Committee. So pretty cool. He's been in there, and he's sticking up for Michigan, and we're happy to endorse him and get behind him. Also, Bernadette Smith, who's been very close to Turning Point Action. She's hosted so many rallies for us and getting the youth out across the state, a lot more than people would even know, because today's day and age, it's all social media. Whatever you see on there is kind of, what you think is happening. There's been a lot more out there that she's done with Turning Point Action and getting, young people to be registered to vote, doing fundraising for college Republicans and the young Republicans. So she's been a great friend of ours and myself personally, and we endorsed her as well for National Committee Woman of the RNC. So just so you guys are aware of that kind of stuff, I was going to open it up if there is time to maybe a couple questions. Yeah? Okay. Well, start there.
Thank you for all that you do. Have you considered the union, the UAW that is? They're gun-loving, hunters, fishers, all that. It's, I feel like it's untapped, resource.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, you hear their, the head of the UAW, I mean, going up there and talking, about Biden and all that stuff, and you know that these men that are in there, they're like, they're just tuning them out. That's not who they are. So I totally agree with you. We need to be able to go in there and, they would be considered that, a low propensity type voter. That if we get them, to at least get a ballot in their hand and then be able to follow up with them and discuss the issues and discuss, why clearly you don't want to vote for the other side because it's just opposite of what they actually believe. These are blue collar workers, and I mean we've turned into the party of the blue collar worker. I mean President Trump did a huge number on that. I mean came out and just the everyday American has woken up because he was before that it was always just the party that everybody just looked at as like the rich and stuff. That's a lot we hear, but now it's just the everyday American that just loves our country and works hard and now is having living paycheck by paycheck, and a lot of times they're those guys and they need somebody to stand up and fight for them, and we're happy to help get their vote. So yes, anybody that has any connections to that, I'm gonna have my phone number. I'll say it at the end so that way you guys can write it down. I also have some business cards. I'm running a little low, so yes.
So, what suggestions do you have? Door knocking, people don't answer the door. Phone calls, people don't answer the phone.
So make sure you repeat the question.
Thoughts about how to get around this?
Okay, so your question is, what do you do when somebody is not answering the door and they are not answering the phone? Is that correct? I mean, you can't really break into their home and talk to them. So I mean, that's a tough one. Primarily, like I would say, we know that there are so many low propensity Republicans out there, like that we're not getting to show up to vote to begin with. That if they're just not answering and stuff, there's such a target-rich environment for you to be able to go out and find, like join one of our coalitions, like maybe it's the Faith one, maybe it's the Hunters one, finding like a not wasting your time. I'm not saying it's a waste of time trying to get to them, but I wouldn't spend a crazy amount of time trying to get them because there's so much more that needs to be done and a lot more out there that we need to be able to get registered.
But has somebody looked at how to get around this problem? Internet advertising, what kind of schemes that you get people's attention? I don't say it's an easy problem.
All right. We can have a discussion kind of after that because I have a few things that I off the top of my head that I can think of, but nothing like that we've done like a study or anything like myself or us specifically targeting that issue. But I'm sure that I'm connected to somebody more than likely that could answer that question for you and maybe give you some input. So apologize that I don't have a specific answer to that. Yeah, no problem. Yes.
I am the Oakland County captain for Bernadette's
Oh, perfect. Well, there you go.
We're having a meet and greet on the 28th. If anybody would like to attend, I have information on that meet and greet.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, make sure to get out there and support her. And then Dr. Steele, he's got at the Oakland County GOP office on Saturday at, is it 9 or 10 a.m.?
It's going to be 9 a.m. and we've just, with the Trump campaign holding their rally on Saturday night at the Oakland Executive Airport, we're going to be canceling the Ottawa one because we've assumed people over there are going to want to come to the Trump rally, but we will still be going ahead with training OCRP headquarters 9 a.m. With RNC State Party strategies coming in.
There you go. I want to make sure to plug that.
One question over here.
Yes.
So, I feel like we're a partner with Turning Point.
Yes.
And I really love Turning Point. However, I wish Turning Point had reached out and got more input from us.
Hey, 1 second, guys. Sorry.
Sorry,
Hey, Gabe.
Luke.
Yes.
Donald Trump is holding a rally Saturday night, this coming Saturday night, 7 p.m., Oakland County Executive Airport. Check his website, it was just announced.
Yes, that was announced today. Yes.
So I want to comment is that, I talked to Tyler Boyer by text in regards to Turning Point's endorsement about our RNC committee woman. And I think that they needed to at least speak to both candidates before they made their decision, actually all 3 candidates. And it was my understanding from Tyler that they didn't. And so I really, I wish that Turning Point, and I know it's really hard, because when you're choosing candidates, you kind of go whoever got in touch with you first. So I just wish that they had gone a little bit deeper so that they could really, and even when you go into an election like this, when you see that the candidates are maybe both very qualified, then you stay out of it then, and not endorse one great conservative over another.
Right. I totally get that. Absolutely. I do get that. When Bernadette, we had searched, so, and I can't speak because I'm not in charge of the Mount Vernon project, obviously. But I know that they did do, so Charlotte Perez, she's the manager over the Mount Vernon project and helping head this up, and she did do a lot of due diligence trying to reach out to all the county chairs that were in the very key influential parts of Michigan, and this would have been a couple months back, and we had reached out multiple times, and there was only one candidate back at the time that did follow through and wanted to reach out to us and seek the endorsement. We weren't even aware that she was going to be running Bernadette for RNC National Committee Woman until we did the interview process and everything. And I will say that she that was even prior to that endorsement came prior to the announcement also of the other candidates, specifically some of the ones that are at the top end of the battle for it. So I will say that was that played a big part in that. But yeah, that's kind of all I can speak towards it. I'm not in charge of Mount Vernon project, but yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
I think of Turning Point USA as going on to college campuses. So what is the plan coming up on another election of the college campuses? Specifically, what do you guys do to maybe help re-educate some of the people on college campuses, specifically in regards to civil rights? Because you would think that Republicans were the ones that did the lynching. And they all seem all in line with the Democrats who were the ones that did that. And it was the Republicans that led the fight for civil rights.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say Holly would be a good person to talk to just in regards to the USA stuff as well, but I can speak towards some of their stuff just because we're a C4. I can talk about them. They just can't say a lot about our stuff. We are on, we're heavily, involved on the college campuses. Turning Point Action has worked really hard as well, and I'll be done right after this, but sorry. We've worked really hard to go in and get teamed up with the college Republicans as well. The college Republicans are very healthy across the whole state. So Alyssa Patterson, she's the chair of the whole state of Michigan. We get in there and, I registered a lot of them to become precinct delegates, which was really cool to see a huge influx of young precinct delegates. And then we do trainings for them. We do Robert's Rules trainings and everything that I would host. And so that's all really cool stuff that we do from a party aspect. And then I know Turning Point USA, they do a very good job at hosting a lot of seminars regarding the civil rights stuff. I mean, I know that it ruffled some feathers and stuff on Martin Luther King Day. Charlie on his podcast, you can go back and listen to it on that day. He had a African American leader come in and just talk about the history of the civil rights movement, and it was almost like the end of the world when he decided to have somebody on talk about that kind of stuff. And it's like, people are very intolerant, and when they've been programmed to believe something over and over and over again, if you even tap and poke that bear, it's like, it freaks them out, right? It shakes them to their core, and they don't want to change from what they've been conditioned to believe, even if it's not the truth. So when it comes to getting out and activating them, though, we are on all the main college campuses. We have great relationships with all the chairs. We're going to go in there, and a lot of them might not show up on election day. So what we are going to do is we're going to use the absentee ballot Chase app, and we're going to get them registered to become an absentee voter and help them maybe host a day of voting at that chapter to actually go through the issues, kind of hear their concerns, and be able to go in after that and help them vote based off of the principles that we as conservatives believe in. So I hope that kind of answered your question.
One quick
Yes.
for you, Luke.
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And so in terms of the sort of supporting young Republicans, is there anything that we can do collectively as a group in order so that you can continue your good work on college campuses? Or do you ever hold something at the Holland Civic Center or something? Do you ever hold any kind of,
Yeah,
rallies
so
or anything?
thank you, good question. We, so with the YRs, which is the Young Republicans, I'm the national committeeman of the newly, formed and elected slate, and we have been, working hard to try to build that out, and we have Parker Shantz is also on the executive committee with myself and a few other great individuals, but we have, healthy chapters, in different key areas of the state. It's not large enough because the previous administrations hadn't really grown it or done anything to really grow it, so we're in the growing stages, but anybody that has, I think the best thing that you can do is get them connected to myself or get them connected to, you can go, I believe our website is now up. If you want to go on there, you can, sign them up to get involved. One of us will reach out to them, but yeah, I think that that's probably the most influential thing you can do is just get them plugged into us, let them know that, hey, there is somewhere to go, like where young people can go, because our vision for it was, if I'm a young person, I see what's going on in the Republican Party and stuff, people are passionate and all that, but also, if I'm a young person, I show up and there's a lot of arguing and I almost feel kind of like hesitant to even want to, plug them in, even when I'm recruiting them to be precinct delegates. I'm like, I shouldn't have to apologize, but I have to apologize to them for what they're going to have to, succumb to sit through at a lot of this stuff. So I will say, we're a great other option to be able to get them plugged in.
But for something like a Lincoln Day dinner, they could support Turning
Yeah,
Point
I mean,
Action.
and reach out to us, and a lot of times people will sponsor a table, and we can invite them out, and we can bring, if a free meal is offered to young people, they are going to more than likely say yes. So absolutely, I appreciate you guys, and I'll be here. Like I said, I'll have pamphlets and my business card. So
Thank you.
thank you.